Hello.
Oh,
Hello.
hello.
Hello. Welcome to the best organized and orchestrated stream in history. I've had one of those days that was unfolding very nicely along predictable lines, and then suddenly got that message going, they're delivering a thing to my house and I'm not there. I need you to go to my house and be there so they can deliver the thing. Otherwise they're going to yeet the thing into the canal and blame it on the dog. So I was like, oh, okay, fine. Ray. So yeah. That's another thing that AI is clearly going to fix, isn't it? Because like
it absolutely is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I would do if it was me? Instead of like delivering things to people's houses, I think that Amazon and Every and all the other courier companies, they should be like ice cream vans. They should just drive around your neighborhood all afternoon with like green sleeves playing on a vibraphone. And just, for a couple of hours, and anytime you can just go on the app and you can see which van your package is in and you see where the van is. And then as it comes past, you go running out and you're like, hello, stop. And you can get your package. I think that would...
I agree. Just one modification. The song should be Mr. Postman.
I do not know that song. My camera is
Hey,
going to disappear
Mr.
for a
Postman. Hey, Mr. Postman. Mr. Postman, can't you see? It's old.
You're not selling it, really.
That's just more apt.
Hey, Mr. Postman, I like Eli's. Man me a post. Do it with corpses and vampires and ghosts. Yeah, I don't know where that came from. Hello, yes.
Hello.
So basically, I literally just got back into my house about 20 minutes ago, cooked and inhaled a pizza, legged it to my desk, and hit the go live button, and here we are. So now I need to remember. Context is a problem, isn't it? Like just the whole...
It is. Although you can go into that directory and you can launch Claude with the two developer and reviewer prompts again.
Let's
I have actually updated my workshop so that the that thing you have of giving them proper names.
Yep.
So yes, that. And I'm slightly torn. I don't know whether to call the reviewer Statler or Waldorf. I'm thinking Statler because that used to be my avatar on Twitter before it became shitter.
I remember.
Yes.
Yes, you are one of the people who behind my suggestion that if you're going to use a fake face on the internet, you should be required to wear that as a mask when you go to conferences and things, so people
Which I did
know who you are.
I absolutely did that.
Cool. So anyway, right. So I'm back in the floor, and so let's run Claude. Let's just run Claude and go help. Where were we?
Yeah, literally just type where were we and it'll tell you. CG user, no, this is not part of the Dylan Beattie Workshop Online.
What Dylan Beattie Workshop Online?
Somebody is asking in the chat.
Yeah, no, I know.
Is this part of the Dylan Beattie Workshop Online? No, it isn't. Nor is it part of the Ems Rindle Workshop Online. And it's more important that it's not a part of that because that's actually a thing.
Well, so is the Dylan Beattie Workshop Online, but it's not about Claude Code. It's not about
Claude Code.
Skills. And there's another one which is about CSS, and they're at dylanbeattie.net/workshops.
We should start putting this shit in the bloody descriptions of the show, shouldn't we? This is what people do. Apparently.
Why am I called Claude? Anthropic named me after Claude Shannon.
Yes, the father of information theory.
Which is,
I knew that.
That's quite interesting for two reasons. One, that's why Claude's called Claude. Two, one of the things that Claude Shannon proved is that any signal will contain loss and corruption, and you can't trust anything at all. And you absolutely have to verify the checksums on every single bit of data you sling across a wire, because perfect networks don't exist, which is sort of nice. Yeah.
So can I, before we jump into this, can I just tell you about a fun sort of morning that I've had with Claude?
Yes.
because I've got my workshops all planned out, and I'm
Yes.
sort of slowly building the actual training materials and things.
Mm.
So I need to put a website or a landing page somewhere online.
Yeah.
It's going to be at claude.rendell.dev.
Yeah.
And it's going to provide a sort of whole range of available workshop dates for workshops. And people can go, I could do that one, or I could do that one, I could do that one. And then when I get like a minimum of 5-6 people, the workshop can go ahead.
Yeah.
And then they pay. And then
I was actually just on that subject, and interesting, because I'm also running a bunch of online workshops as a sort of way of going, let's teach people things that I know they're prepared to pay for because they'll buy tickets when it's at a conference. But what if there isn't a conference and I don't have anything to do that week, and I'd like to get money so I can spend it on stuff? And one of the ideas that I had is, look, forget the whole, because there's the how much should things cost, which is just a total crapshoot. But I thought, well, what about if I say, look, here's the deal. You tell me how much money you're going to put in, and if it gets to $2,500, I'll run it. So if you really, 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 really want to, you've got to put quite a lot of money down. But the thing about workshops on Zoom and stuff is, in theory, you could do them for like 100 people. The one I do about presentation skills, I count numbers because everybody actually takes a turn. And so there is a limit on how many people you can fit in the afternoon. But, I've done things on Zoom sessions with 20, 30, 40 people. And quite often you are doing it to 40 gray squares that never talk, because human beings are awful. And at a certain point, I'm like, it could be 100 gray squares that don't talk for all I care, And so the economics of how many people you can have in a group when you don't need to give them lunch and find them chairs gets really quite interesting. So
it does. I'm going to have to renew my kind of Zoom Pro subscription, because I'm guessing Zoom's probably still the best thing for doing this. But no, the really interesting thing was I launched Claude, and I got it to make me a web developer prompt because it's a static page, vanilla HTML, JavaScript, CSS, no Tailwind, no frameworks. It's got a form where it can do things with, I can do this state or this state or this state. And then it will have Google Sheet as the sort of backing data store, because I can just use that for free. And it'll be on Cloudflare pages and Cloudflare workers. And then I sort of, I put it into Opus 4.6 in Claude Code. And I just ran /opsx or :explore.
Sorry, I'm just putting up things in the chat because they're saying nice things, and I like it when people say
nice things. Go for it.
CG user watched my CSS talk in London, and it's really cool. Yeah, it is really cool. CSS is awesome. People who don't like CSS are empty people with no souls. And Dylan, I love your songs. Knowing that you work with .NET like me just made my life more colorful. Yeah.
Yes.
.NET
I have a half-written .NET song called .NET Dirtbag, which is obviously to the tune of...
So we don't have any .NET songs, but we do play the final countdown in F#. So
we do.
Yeah, and so do Europe, to be fair. It's not like that was a decision on our part.
And we play, there's at least one song in C# as well.
No.
Wasn't there was a thing where you and Vaggy did a bit at the start?
Yeah.
About whether it would be in C# or
it was when Don Syme was playing bass with us, and so
that's right. Yes,
we'd start a song in all different keys, and then Don and I would do a little like a 1 minute argument about whether it should be in C# or F#. And I would be saying, if we do it in C#, then it's more accessible and it'll be easier to hire musicians. And Don goes, yeah, but if you do it in F#, then it'll have half the number of notes. It'll be just as good and it won't go wrong. And yeah.
So CG user didn't know you do live on YouTube.
I do live on YouTube sometimes, and I do live on Twitch sometimes. I am basically chaotic at doing anything consistently for more than about 3 months.
Yes,
like I have.
I mean, we kept up Tech Bugs and Rock and Roll.
Yeah,
pretty much every week for pretty much 2 years.
That's actually when you put it like that. But I realized a long time ago, we're going to go way off on a tangent here.
Let's do it.
Quotes from Babylon 5 as applied to software development. So there is the one that came to mind is somebody on one of my friends on Blue Sky yesterday. I said, we're doing this thing with Claude Code, and he just replied with ick, which I know is a legitimate response that a lot of people are having to various applications of AI at the moment. And I replied with a picture of Ambassador Kosh, the Vorlon ambassador, with that quote, "The avalanche has started. It is too late for the pebbles to vote," which I just love. Because that is so it's happening to the entire world. And I am absolutely certain that some of the people who have gone all in on AI are going to emerge unscathed and happier and better people for it. And I'm sure that some of the people who are like, over my dead body, are going to emerge unscathed and happier people for it. But I think at this point, if you love AI and think it's going to solve all the problems, you haven't done the work. And if you hate it and think it's evil and should be set on fire and thrown away, you haven't done the work. And people are grumpy because they don't want to do the work. And yes. I think in some cases, because, one of the reasons why we started doing this too, I didn't know where to start with whatever the work was I should be doing right now, because there are just too many things to sort of poke around. But the other Babylon 5 quote that I quite liked was, I can't remember the exact quote, but one of the sort of, the long-lived, like almost immortal alien races says something like, he says to Sheridan, "Only a species with your short lifespan could believe that love is eternal. It is perhaps the greatest gift you ever received." And I was like, oof, that stings. And if you can wrap a project up in 3 months, you can probably ship it before you get fed up with it and completely bored and you hate it and everything. And the number of times over my career where I've just been like, no, I need to, this needs to be something I can ship by the end of the year, because if I come back to this in January, it's going to make me miserable and then it'll turn horrible. And yeah.
Yes. So very strange things are happening to things. There we go. All right, you go down there then. Fine. See if I care. Do what you want. Hello, I'm talking. Yes.
So Eli, that T-shirt with the signature language jokes on it is on sale on the internet, and you can buy it anytime you want. Because if you go to shop.codewithrockstar.com, which is where I have all my T-shirt designs, and you can go on there and somewhere on here, there it is. Music staves. Procedural, functional, object-oriented. And people who get that joke are the intersection of two very, very niche sub-communities within larger communities.
Hang on, Dylan, someone's spamming my my Twitch with some kind of link to a shop.
Yeah,
for like T-shirts and stuff. I should
on
probably
Twitch. You just get people relentlessly trying to drive stuff to their thing.
How many parts of this series can we honestly? We haven't. I haven't got a lot on at the moment.
Yeah.
And there are endless things that we could be doing and having fun with.
I think,
and I do have a workshop to promote, and so this is going to be dead handy for that.
For me, I think we are going to reach a sort of a natural inflection point with the thing we're working on right now.
Yes.
Do I get any more when someone orders from your store? I don't know. No one ever orders anything from my store. I sell about one T-shirt every 3 months.
I'm sure you probably do.
I'm sure I might do.
No, anyway, I was talking about. So yes, I went through with Claude in Opus mode, and we did the thing of kind of designing the website and deciding what sort of we were going to use Google Sheets and all this sort of stuff. But it was also kind of coaching me in marketing and who is this going to be targeted at, and do you have like social proof? Are there things you can link to online? I was kind of, I did a talk at NDC London. It goes, oh, can you give me the YouTube link? And I'm kind of like, yeah, all right. Then it goes, okay, so we should mention this and this and it was not just coding. It was helping me be a a better person. And it occurred to me that for certain types of people, and I'm going to list English, certainly, and I mean English as in from the country. It's a country, not just a language, Americans, but also with kind of like self-esteem issues, or who were repeatedly beaten for boasting when they were children and all this sort of stuff. I have enormous problems marketing myself.
Yeah, same.
I was going to say selling myself, and that sounds even dirtier. But I have enormous problems marketing myself. If you look at Americans will quite happily tell you in their LinkedIn bio or whatever that they are a thought leader and that they're incredible at stuff. And to the English, that seems like crass, but actually they're probably closer to doing the right thing than we are, because we're kind of like, well, I'd prefer to let my work speak for itself. And people go, well, where is your work? And you go, well, it's at that place and that place and that place. Yeah. And I can't tell you about it. And so I think AI, I think potentially you can sort of like go, all right, here's my stuff. And I've saw this as well as helping a friend tune a CV for a specific job, which is another thing that AI is extremely good at. You can just give it a broad CV and go, right, and here's the job description. Help me tune this seat, and then reprioritize and highlight different things and so on. Yeah. But also, because a lot of the text that it's been trained on is Americans telling people how brilliant they are, it's actually quite good at telling people how brilliant you are and kind of highlighting your achievements. And because you didn't write it, it's okay. Yeah. It's kind of like, this isn't me saying nice things about myself. This is Claude saying nice things about me, and I'm okay with that.
An actual example of this. So when I put these T-shirts up for sale, one of the things that you have to do is write a little description of why the T-shirt's awesome. And I was like, but it's a T-shirt. And so these ones, I started just stealing bits of Def Leppard song titles. I'll pour some syntactic sugar on your style with this one. But there's a couple of others on there that I was just like... it's a T-shirt. It's made out of cloth, and it's got a hole for your head and 2 for your arms and another one for your waist. And if you want that, you should buy it. And if you don't, then that's okay too. And I just thought, I have no idea, because I don't know when people are like, hey, this is a thing you might actually want. Like if a band I love announces they're going on tour, to me, that doesn't come across as marketing. It's just like, well, obviously I wanted to know that. But that point when it becomes apparent that the person you're talking to is being transactional and they want to turn your conversation into a sales call, that gives me the ick. I never, ever, ever want to be that person, ever. Yeah. To the extent that, you know, I probably, the extent to which I spend my life going to conferences and meetups and the exact things that people say, this is how you grow your network. This is how you get opportunities and collaborations and all that kind of stuff. And I probably go to more conferences than anybody. And I absolutely suck at doing the thing that you're supposed to do when you go to conferences, normally because I'm having fun. And I'm either doing the thing I went there to do, or I'm chatting to people and finding out what they're doing. And at some point I was like, oh, I should probably put a slide in my presentation that says, by the way, I'm running these workshops and this is what I do and this is how you hire me. But yeah, if AI can sort of do that, I put probably way too much stock in authenticity. I think one of the big things I'm personally struggling with is, I send my invoices by myself manually, because when I get an invoice from a company or something that was clearly sent out at midnight by a script, I'm like, well, that sucks, because it goes out at midnight and then it's the first thing you see when you check your email in the morning, and you're like, oh, come on, could you not have waited until Monday morning? Like, at least when people are at work, it's Sunday and I was out last night and the first thing I see is that I owe you money. No.
Yeah. No.
But I probably just need to get over myself. But, I'm British. I'm not good at that. So, but yes, the whole idea of having assistant tools that are like, this is the code you need. Oh, by the way, also, this is kind of a thing that some people do when they set up these kinds of websites. And, this, because there's all kinds of things like, pricing models for running workshops. next time I do this, I'm just going to ask it, hey, do me when does the early bird run till? How much does it cost? Put this there, put that there. What dates? When should I send emails? Because I don't know. And I don't do it in enough volume to gather any data on what works and what doesn't. I just need some decision, which will be right or wrong. But once the decision is made, you can implement it and get on with your life. So anyway, should we kick off phase 2?
Yes. So you should be able to do. Well, no, you need to drop out and
I need to drop out and
make
tell
sure
Claude which hat to put on.
Which hat to put on?
Yeah.
So it puts on its pirate developer hat.
This is the developer pirate minus that one, system prompt file prompt. So for folks who've just tuned in who haven't watched the others, what we've got here is, if I open up VS Code, over the past few sessions, we have created a set of prompt files. And the way that I think of it is a prompt file is a hat that you put on Claude that makes it behave a certain way or optimize for certain kinds of output. And so we had first we had a requirements analyst hat that we used to have a little conversation with Claude to find out what we were going to build. And that got written into requirements.md, which is over here. And then we used Claude Chat to write a prompt to tell Claude to be a system analyst, a technical architect. And then we put that hot hat on and we said, look, here's the requirements. Let's have a chat. And that got us to the point of we should probably build this in .NET with WPF and this library and that library. And then yesterday we created a developer hat and a QA engineer hat. And a developer hat writes code and the QA engineer sends it back saying, this is not good and that's not good. And the sort of moment for me yesterday was when we ran it and it worked. And I will admit I was very surprised because I have been using AI coding assistants for 18 months. And what they normally do, in my experience so far, is they get every line almost exactly right. And I've spent a lot of time. Yeah, I've spent a lot of time. So like last week, I used Copilot Chat in VS Code to build a Playwright browser automation harness to download audio files from websites. And it got the right, it's like it kind of got the right structure and it got the right idea and it showed me where I need to put the auth token. But I think I had to modify every line just slightly to make it do the right thing. So yesterday when we did the first phase, I was expecting then to fire up Visual Studio and have to go through and fix a bunch of things. And it worked. And the first time we tested it, it had an error message. But then when we put the QA engineer hat on Claude. So the developer talks like a pirate and the QA engineer talks like an English butler, because that just makes it all a little bit more entertaining.
Yes. The English butler at first was calling Dylan captain until it was pointed out that it was an English butler and not a pirate, at which point it apologized profusely and fixed it. It was just...
Anyway, so what we're going to do now is we're going to spin up Claude here. So this is Claude code running at the command line on a Windows PowerShell terminal. So that fires up Claude. And now if I say, who are you? Claude will say, probably in pirate language, who are you is one of those deep questions, isn't it? It's no wonder it has to think about it for a little while.
Yeah.
Ahoy, Captain. I be Claude Code, but aboard this vessel I sail under a special flag, a battle-hardened WPF engineer and .NET privateer with decades of plunder across the seas of desktop development. Me areas of mastery include WPF and XAML. So yeah, basically we've hypnotized, brainwashed, conditioned, programmed. I don't even know what the terminology is. Claude is pretending to be an expert WPF and .NET audiovisual developer who's also a pirate.
Yes.
All right.
So at this point, you should be able to do /OPSX:/FF.
Yep.
And then space. And then phase 2.
So just these phases here, what they're referring to is if I open Typora, which is the thing I use to read and write Markdown files, we got one of the Claudes to write us an implementation plan which broke our project down into phases. So phase one, which we did yesterday, is that multiple
Typora's not on screen.
Typora's not on screen. That's weird.
Did you share your screen or did you share the window?
Oh, maybe I'm sharing the window. Let's share a screen. Yeah. Entire screen. That one. Share that. There we go. That's Typora.
Yes.
And let's just make that a little larger. Hey, zoom in. Control Shift. It's that one, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. And collapse that. So this is the implementation plan, which the architect Claude wrote for us, or rather wrote for us with a lot of to and fro and discussion and questions and answering. So phase one is a foundation and audio engine that will play multiple audio files in sync. So that's working. Phase two then is a single video and synchronize that with the audio stems. Phase three is playing multiple videos on multiple monitors, because that's the end goal here. So that the tool we're building is something that
it's to run Line Breakers shows for the Line Breakers fans.
So we can, one, have all the different isolated tracks, so we can just fade in and out whichever combination of musicians is in the room at the time. And two, so we can get one video playing in front of the band, so we can see lyrics and chords and changes and stuff, because we don't get a lot of time to rehearse because we all live in different countries. But then the audience, they get the visualization playback with all the jokes and the cool effects and everything. So yeah, and apparently nothing quite like this exists. Certainly nothing like this exists that you can drive yourself while you're also playing the guitar, because the things that professional bands use assume you have a little desk full of engineers who are running it while you're on the stage. So phase three will be multi-display. Then phase four is going to be building a set out of shows and saving files and those kinds of things. And then phase five is UI. And I like that. Hardening. Like, well, we'll get through 6 phases and then we'll make sure it doesn't crash, which I'd be lying if I said I'd never done that as a human developer. But yeah, all right.
I honestly, that's... yes, hardening is tragically, and you can tell this if you ever used software, is a phase that a lot of teams don't bother with.
Yeah.
So it'll be good to go through that. It's nice that Claude has planned it. Claude is much more, what's the word? Diligent.
Yeah. CD user says, why would you pay $15 for an MV editor when VS Code is free? One, because $15 is not a lot of money, and people who build good software deserve to make a living. Two, because there's all kinds of stuff that Typora does, like allowing you to edit. You can edit the markdown, whereas VS Code, you have to write the markdown in ASCII. If I go in and make changes to this, it'll do bullet lists and stuff. The main benefit for me is if I paste an image into one of these files, I can set up behavior that automatically will copy that image into a particular folder or upload it to a cloud provider and replace it with the URL, which means for writing blog posts, basically it's a word processor. It's not a code editor. It's a thing for writing text that up until quite recently, you wrote text for humans. Now, that's not true anymore, because now we write text for machines. But yeah, Typora is what I use for writing long form. I write blog posts and essays and articles and all kinds of stuff with it. But yes, it's a WYSIWYG editor for Markdown. It's not just a preview. You can actually come in here and edit stuff and copy and paste, and it has different themes. And yeah. And yeah, we're gonna get our Claude developer to implement the phase 2, and then we're going to get our Claude QA engineer to review phase 2. Now let's just check. So I've got Git Kraken up over here. There will be people in the chat going, why aren't you just getting Claude to do all the Git stuff? Because I'm easing myself into this brave new world, and every once in a while I stop and I refer back to it in a tool that I know and trust. And so what do we got in there?
Yes.
We've got,
but also we are not, at the moment, neither of us have access to the £180 a month Claude Max. We're both on the $20 a month or £17 a month Claude Pro. And there is a limit on the number of tokens that you're allowed to use in a 5-hour period. And so when you start using Claude, it kind of starts from the top of the hour that you started. and says this is a 5-hour window. And then once you've used the tokens within that window, that's it. You're done until the next 5-hour window starts.
So CG user tables are tricky for Markdown. Let's see how Typora handles it. So that's a table. Actually, let me just, I'm going to open a new project here. And if we go, where is it? Edit, insert, somewhere, there's an insert table thing. I'm not wearing my glasses, am I? That's why everything looks
okay, so no, go back to paragraph. Back to paragraph. Go down table. To the there you go. Table. Insert table.
3x4. So that gives you a table and header and hello and look and then. But what's nice about it is that it does automatic adding rows to it as you go along, and the arrow keys jump you around. Now, if you do Control/, this shows you the underlying ASCII markdown. And the thing about tables in Markdown is that they're not actually tabular because they're Markdown.
Yeah.
So as long as you got the right number of pipes on a line, that's an empty line in the table. So Markdown tables in ASCII end up looking like this. But then when you switch back between that and you save that and yeah, let's not put it in Claude stuff. Demo.md.
I think you need to edit something in the table.
Yeah.
And then save it.
Oh, that's interesting. It's preserving the underlying. Yeah, but it doesn't matter because it's WYSIWYG, so you can edit it in this view if you want to.
That's probably a feature.
Which I've always thought was quite neat. And yeah, so it handles them as well as any editor I've ever seen when it comes to the gnarlier edge cases.
There's one of the wolves in my head is going off on a rant about that's completely missing the point of Markdown. And you should be typing pipes in Vim.
If you want to type pipes
the way
in Vim,
Gruber intended,
you go right ahead. I am not going to stop you, but I'm also not going to watch.
But yes, CG user said Markdown is the most powerful language in this AI era. And I mean that is true. And there have been. I watched a speaker who has fallen out of favor, and I'm not going to even name him. But he did a talk about the last programming language and what that might be. And I don't think anybody had Markdown on their bingo card for that. But here we are.
I mean, having gone from learning HTML, way back when, like I learned HTML1 in the 90s and have written HTML ever since and have used all sorts of proprietary formats. And I learned LaTeX at one point, and Markdown is the sweet spot. Yeah. It absolutely gives you all of the 99% of the format that you need to make text meaningful and accessible without any bollocks.
Yes.
Without any, opening and closing tabs and without a lot of proprietary bits and pieces. So yeah, I've been writing markup for years and years and years, and I'm kind of like, all right, good. I'm glad this is the one we got to. It's not a great file format. It's full of garbage, but hey, it could have been YAML, right?
So yes. Anyway, drop back to Claude.
So back to Claude. There's Claude. Yes.
And I think you can do phase -2 or something.
What is FF here? So OPSX is the open spec command line tool. Yeah.
FF is fast forward, and so this will create the proposal, the design, the specs, and the tasks.
Okay.
And I think you can specify phase 2. No. So, well, see what happens.
Okay.
I just put phase 2. We'll see if it can pull that out of that, because that will get passed as arguments to the command. There we go. Yes. And then we have to say yes again and all that sort of thing.
Yep. Yes, proceed. So while that does that, let's just check. All right, so phase 1 is back in main. We got some work in progress happening on there, which is fine. I'm just going to do one thing, because normally when I'm streaming, I do not have the screen I'm sharing as my primary display. And I want that to be my main display. This might make things go... No, that's fine. Okay, good.
Splendid.
Yep.
So yeah, proceed.
Empty should have color-coded text. You see, yeah, but also no, because color coding is very culturally subjective and also has all sorts of accessibility headaches. It astonishes me still that most of the world has agreed that green means go and red means stop, and 12% of men are like, what? Brown means go and brown also means stop, does it? That's helpful for me.
I mean, you have Obsidian, which is like a markdown knowledge base notebook thing, which is I use more than I've ever used in anything like Evernote or anything like that. So that supports hashtags just as a thing.
I rage quit Evernote in about an hour.
Yes, you did.
They put up a thing going, do you want to get AI tools? And the only no button was, no, I don't want to save money. And I'm like, well, go away. And I switched the whole lot over to Obsidian that afternoon and have never used Evernote since.
Yep.
And if you're from Evernote and you're watching, I regret nothing, and your marketing sucks. And this is why, being British, I try very hard never to market anything. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason it's repeatedly telling you this is because it does not like those dash, dash, dash in the quotes.
Yeah. So this is it calling bash to pipe C# files into a redirected pipe.
Yes.
So this to bang thing is the Windows syntax to redirect standard error to dev null, I think, if I remember correctly.
That is correct. So yeah, I was watching a podcast video on YouTube last night. I've watched about half of it about a thing called Pi.
Yeah.
Pi.dev. Don't know if you've seen that. It's an insanely lightweight sort of CLI coding tool.
Yeah.
That will work with Claude or Gemini or Codex or whatever. But it was created by a guy named Mario Zechner, who's done a few things over the years. And the reason he did it was he kind of looked at coding agents and the way they work and everything. And we discussed yesterday how a coding agent is essentially an LLM plus tools, and you tell the LLM how to use the tools, and then it returns back to the coding agent and says, please, can you execute this tool with these arguments? And what Mario Zechner realized was that really it boiled down to 4 different tools. And actually some of those, there's some overlap. He basically went, it's working with files. So actually, really, all it needs to be able to do is know bash and know how to execute bash commands and read the output. And then you build in some sort of convenience ones. So you build like web search in directly. But if you didn't have web search, and actually, when Claude this morning was going, I'm going to go and look at this YouTube video and pull the details so we can put it onto your website for you. And then it got an error back going, you're not allowed to look at YouTube. And it went, fine, I'll run curl. And it just ran curl with the YouTube URL and got it anyway. And it's kind of like, did you just jailbreak yourself past a constraint?
Yeah.
Yes, you did. I don't mind. It's actually, if you'd asked permission, I would have done it. I would have said yes. But yes, your Claude does seem. I don't think we haven't added Serena in this.
What did we do last week? We added Serena.
That was in the other project.
That was in the other project, wasn't it?
So yes, we could add Serena in this.
Probably add Serena, right?
Project as well. So yes, but just say yes for now.
Just say yes for now, and let's allow all edits.
Yes. See, it suckered you in yesterday. It did such a good job yesterday that now you've gone allow all edits. This is when it starts creating Skynet.
That's all right, as long as it doesn't merge Skynet domain without checking it with a human first.
Yes. Bash SSH NORAD. So yes, talking of languages and this sort of MD being a thing, I've been idly kind of wondering, as we get to a stage where humans in the loop become less and less important, and we can sort of maybe write like Gherkin style specs, given when, then, and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But you know, when we have, we are just like analysts, and we're not personally reviewing the code. We have AI agents that are custom tuned to review the code and all that sort of stuff. What would a programming language that was optimized for LLMs and agents look like? Because in my time working with them, I have found it very helpful when they use an object-oriented language, because they do break things down into single responsibility classes and stuff really well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so I can read it, and I think that I also have a bias. If I were an F# programmer, I would probably prefer it when they did things in a functional style.
Yeah.
It's just,
Okay, open spec status. Yep, that's fine. Yes, it's interesting to reflect on the extent to which most modern programming languages were created by somebody with strong opinions about composition and reuse.
Yes.
And, you know, because really it started out with, you know, machine code. And then assembly was just like, what if we could give them nicknames so we didn't have to look them up every time? And then C was like, well, we've got these little patterns of assembly language instructions that we keep having to repeat. What if we could give those names, and then we can reuse this, you know, something like a conditional jump statement, which is basically the exit condition in a loop. They're like, well, what if we wrote if, and then if does the whole look at the top of the stack, and if this thing's that, you do this, and if you don't, you do that. And, you know, macros in Lisp, and functions, and objects, and web services, and SOAP, and Disco, and WSDL, and REST, and GraphQL, and all these kinds of things are all just different people going, the thing I want already exists over there, which could be elsewhere in your project, or elsewhere in your company, or elsewhere on the planet. And I don't want to reinvent it. I want to do it again.
Yes.
All right, what do we got? Let's, hang on. Yar. Here be the full manifest. So we got a proposal, we got a design document, we've got a spec for the video engine, and we've got a spec for the
type file sequence,
triangle
delta T logging.
Delta T logging. Oh, it knows about Delta. That makes it look really smart.
And Unicode.
Yeah.
And statelessness between invocations. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
23 verifiable tasks across 5 groups.
All right.
Nice.
And so if we
don't run apply. Let's add Serena in.
Well, hang on. I just want to. Where's my sidebar gone? There's the sidebar. And so now we should.
So now that's all under OpenSpec.
OpenSpec changes phase 2. So phase 1 has been archived. That is now in the archive folder. Phase 2. So we've got a design. Phase 1 delivered a proven N-Audio WSAPI audio pipeline. Yep. We baked in a bunch of stubs, adding libVLC backed H.264 video playback. Yep.
On the primary display.
Yes. The primary unknowns are behavioral. How reliably does libVLC's pre-buffer trick eliminate startup latency? And does WPF's DPI virtualization misplace the... I'm glad it picked that up.
Yes.
No, I'm running 100% native pixel scaling on all of these monitors because I don't do high DPI on Windows at all if I can help it.
Yeah.
On Mac, it's fine. On Windows, it's all right on my laptop, but on lots of things. Okay, yep, that's all.
Yeah, audio is unconditionally silenced.
Yep.
Fallback PNG assignment. So yeah, I do like it has the non-goals, but it also has which phase they are planned for. So someone's go, well, that's not a non-goal. You go, no, it's not a non-goal for this sprint, this 1 hour sprint that we're about to embark on.
Yeah.
Because this would be a sprint. This
yes,
would be like a week or two of
would
work
be an iteration.
A team, yeah.
Yeah, all right.
VLC display window fully implemented. DPI awareness app manifest. Single display video playback.
The logging thing is interesting because that's not something we ever asked for. And at one point it did say, do you need like a sort of diagnostic mode for troubleshooting sync problems? And we said no. But okay.
Well, it's obviously decided it knows better than you.
Yeah.
And yes, so this is our checkbox list.
And so this
if anybody is new, it ticks these as it goes along.
Yeah, so these are just little checkboxes, which in Markdown are 2 square brackets with a gap between them. Because Markdown's just cool for stuff like that. Yep. So yeah, it's got 5 groups of tasks. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So exit /exit, so we can add the Serena MCP because that will make it more efficient.
The thing we wanted to do. Yes.
And then
MCP server. Let me just dig out
the syntax for adding it.
This is one of those paste this to your console and trust me, go back to sleep. Your government is in control.
Install integration.
Yeah.
Or is it in
Claude code? Yep. Running Serena. Prerequisites.
Yeah. Connecting your MCP client. And then it's got a Claude code link on the right hand in the contents.
Yes. That's it. That's the thing.
That's the one.
Just paste because it'll be fine.
Yes, and this is the thing where this is why we made you install UV.
Yeah. So this is Claude with the MCP subcommand with the add subcommand with Serena argument minus to say we're not talking to MCP anymore. We're talking to Claude again now. UVX.
No, we're not talking to Claude at all. These are now the arguments to pass when you start Serena.
Oh, okay. All right.
Or when you start the MCP server. So everything after the dash is the command to start the MCP server.
Okay. I think.
Yep.
The place I've come across that syntax. Oh, did that work?
Yeah.
All right.
It's
So now
written
we
it
run.
into the local thing. No, so now actually, if you look above that line, you can see it's got resume this session with Claude -- resume.
Ah, yes.
And so you can copy and paste that, and it will just restart that. And it's still, everything is still there. So you can scroll back up and see everything that you did. And in this instance, that this is good. If we had done a lot of stuff with that first session, if you just run /context quickly. So yeah, we can see here, if you scroll back up a little bit, it'll show the little graphic thing.
Oh yeah.
There we go. So yeah, you can see we've used 27% of our tokens for this session. So we're good up to 60, 70%. Seems to be the point at which Claude context starts to rot. The other thing you can now see, though, is if you look at MCP tools, each one of the sub commands that the MCP supports is 270 tokens. If you scroll down a bit further, and it'll talk about skills. The skills are like 50, a dozen to it's less than 100 tokens. And those are the commands, actually, the 24. And this is one of the reasons why there is a bit of a shift away from MCP servers and towards commands. The advantage with MCP servers, particularly something like Serena, what Serena is doing is running the language server, and that is stateful, and commands and skills are not stateful. So MCP servers are still good for stuff where you've got state being held outside.
So CG user, just to recap for anyone else who's like, what are you actually building here? I want a application I can run on my laptop in front of me when I'm playing live music on a stage that will it'll send one video file to my laptop screen. It'll send a different video file to an external display that's on a big projector behind the band, and will play both of those video files in sync with an arbitrary number of audio files that I can switch on and off individually. So I can have a folder containing my video with the lyrics and the chords, because my memory is not as good as Claude's, cool visualization that the audience can look at, and then a drum track, a bass track, a keyboard track, a rhythm guitar track, backing vocal track, sound effects track, and I can switch those on and off depending which musicians are actually on the stage. And that's what we're building. That's what I want. So
yes.
And I tried building it last year by hand and quickly realized it was going to be a massive amount of effort. Although it was quite gratifying last week to see that Claude was like, yes, you do it in WPF and you use libVLC and you use NAudio. And I'm like, that's what I was going to use. So
now you can just do /opsx:apply and it will build it. Again. And now we can, you can sort of keep an eye on it because it will ask for permission to do things. But we can also have other discussions while it's doing it, and we can.
So what we can do while it's doing
answer questions from chat is a good way of spending the time.
So while that's doing that in the background, yes, and don't ask again, what I'm going to do, because earlier today I baked some test audio files. So I have got a little folder here with a bunch of stems in it. And if I just need to stop and restart my screen share so I can remember to switch audio on. So that's that, and then share screen, and okay, and entire screen, that screen there, and also share system audio. So if I bring let's open Audacity. No, that's fine. So what I've got here is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got a bunch of isolated audio files, stereo WAV files, one of which is a click, which is just one of which is a bar count. 1, 2.
Is that
3, 4. Is that
why is that only showing one sound wave?
because the bar count is mono because I recorded it with a microphone.
And the software copes with that now, doesn't it? Because we fixed that.
Yes,
that was
we
one of the
fixed
things
that
it didn't like.
Whereas the others
uses
are
an adapter.
They're session instruments in Logic on the Mac, which generate stereo outputs. So so that one's one WAV because it's a mono WAV file. So what
session instruments? That's why the bass guitar sounded so soulless.
Do you want to create? Yes, allow all edits during this session. That's fine. So while that is doing that, what I'm going to do is we're going to open After Effects and we're going to create a new project. And I'm going to save this as the Claude stuff.
Count Claudula.
Yeah. So you know Jeff Wayne's musical version of the War of the Worlds? This huge, like double concept album, which doesn't have any gaps in it. Each side of each record is a continuous piece of music. The first thing they had to do when they recorded that was to track 1 on all the tape just had a bar count. And so somebody would sit in the studio with a metronome going 1 and count up to 1,240, 1,241. And every single person who worked on that record had to take a turn. So somewhere there's a master tape which has Richard Burton just reading numbers to a metronome onto the tape, which I just thought was great. So, okay.
Do you know what I want to hear is the I want to hear the click track that Chris Wolstenholme has for Hysteria, because it's 8 times around, or it's 6 times around the first time, and then 4 times. And I'm sure when you're on stage with smoke and lights and a crowd of 60,000 people and everything, you must get lost. There must be something that's sort of going, and chorus.
No. You just count.
Are you saying Chris Wolstenholme doesn't have ADHD?
Yes.
Because I can't count to 6. I get distracted.
There is also this
Too high on me though.
Reframing device of when you know a piece of music really well, it doesn't become, because the way you approach it when you're learning it is you have to learn to do the complicated thing once and then do it 6 times.
Yes.
But you do it enough times and the pattern of 6 of them becomes a sort of single unit in your brain that happens. How letters are meaningless, but when you put them into words, you can remember the words.
I'm having a flashback to Brugata last year when we did 7-bit encoding and it finished and I just kept going.
Yeah.
I was in my own little world. It was, is it done? Oh, okay, I'll stop. Yeah.
Right, we can close Typora because things are happening in the background. Okay. Yeah, that's happily just sitting and doing yamly things and zamly things. And so while that's doing that, I'm going to grab this lot. I'm going to drop that into here. And I'm going to new comp from selection. And then I'm going to create a new null object layer. And I'm going to go File, Scripts, Recent Script Files, Keyframer. And I'm going to say, I want you to drop a keyframe in every beat of a 120 beats per minute tempo. So this will now, and if we open the audio waveform for that, oh, hang on, what did I just do? So you see in here now, we've got, that's the audio waveform of the click.
Yeah.
And there's a frame on each one of those. And so what I can do now is drop in something like a new text layer, and then we can set the text property for this to be an expression. And this is where I'm going to, so After Effects, one of the things I love about working with it, let's see, is that, yeah, that's still cooking away, is that you can write, it uses ActionScript, which is Adobe's implementation of ECMAScript, which is the JavaScript specification, that lets you do stuff with it. And so now at this point, I do need to look up ActionScript. So After Effects, ActionScript current time. I mean, we could get Claude to do this, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Claude.ai. Give me an ActionScript expression for use in After Effects that will take the current time in the composition and turn it into the current bar and beat count for a song at 120 beats per minute. There is not a lot of training data about ActionScript. I've had very, very mixed results getting this right. So BPM's 120. Yep, that's cool. Time is the property we want. So just if we go in here and we say set that to be time, for example, and I crank up the size of that text to there. So what this does is that the value of that piece of text is the current time in seconds, and I think seconds and milliseconds is what it's using here. So if we copy that lot and we drop that lot in here, and now drop the font size. Okay.
It did it.
Yeah. Not bad. I'm going to... One of the weird things about After Effects is it sometimes uses a character return without a new line to mean stuff, which can be a little odd. There we go. Okay, so that's cool. So let's grab that. Nope, I don't want the empty text layer. I want that text. And there's that one. Let's... Bauhaus is a good font. I like Bauhaus. Bauhaus is friendly. And align that. And so now...
I mean, you say that, but that does actually say SAR to seat one. Yes.
But no, because you never get an asset at the start of a word in German.
No.
So yeah. Would you be happier with something a little?
No. I love Bauhaus. No. Go for it.
Cool.
I'm complete.
Okay.
I mean, it's very tempting given that they're in the chat to say Poppins, but no.
No. So this is bar and beat count. Okay, so let's just check. So if I drag the bar count WAV into that comp as well. 4, 5, 6, 7. So this will now give us individual pieces of media that we can use to verify the synchronization. .NET test. Do you want to proceed? Yeah. See, the whole time we've been doing this, there has been this little voice in the back of my head going, well, at some point we're going to stop and we're going to go and we're going to read all of the code and check every line and make sure it's all good. And
except we're not. We're going to get Claude to do that as well.
Yes, and I'm sort of like, I think slowly there is a little something on the horizon, not big yet, but it's over there and it's getting closer, that is saying, you're not going to do that. No. And I'm like, but yes, we are, because
No, you're not.
the human in the loop. All right. All code is compiled. 17 out of 17 tests pass. Run the harness, load a song folder and an MP4. Now that's interesting.
Yes.
Okay, let's see what it does. All right, so let's just I'm gonna save that, and I'm going to open up the media encoder because we need that little video that we just made. I'm gonna put a new thing on it. Hang on, I'm gonna put a new null object, and I'm gonna drop that in, and I'm gonna effect gradient overlay. No, blending mode. There it is. Because that looks really boring at the moment, and it would be more fun if it had colors on it. So let's put a that's interesting. Why did that not draw anything? Because okay, that's my keyframes layer. So that I can drop way the hell down there. All right, and that's our text expression layer. Yeah, so this should have a, yeah. There's something about After Effects that I often do something when people are watching that I do 100 times a day, and it just doesn't work because people are looking at it, which is very strange. It did the same thing. You remember the session I did in Copenhagen last year?
Yes.
And just like suddenly it's like,
that's Linebreaker song live.
That doesn't not work. That totally works. All right, let's do a solid and do an overlay on that one. Okay, and layer styles, gradient overlay. There, okay, that's what we want. It's because it's a null object, and null object layers don't render unless you do something to them.
Do you know, I was actually going to say, is it because it's null? But I assumed that I would just get a kind of withering look.
There are two kinds of effects in After Effects. One of them is a generative effect, which actually creates pixels. So if you've got stuff like a rainfall or a starburst effect, that will draw on a null layer because it actually adds stuff. But if you put in a null object and then say overlay it with a gradient, what it does is it takes everywhere that the null has something, which is nowhere, and it applies a gradient to those bits, which does nothing because there's nothing to do them with. So yeah, and
while you're doing that, I'm going to sort of nip through and answer some of these questions from the thing here. So because right
now, there we go.
So Dorothy, welcome back. Dorothy asked, they're being offered Claude Opus 4.6, but Sonnet 4.5 in the UK on the Pro plan. We're in the UK on the Pro plan. We're definitely getting Sonnet 4.6. The first thing you should do every day is run Claude update. And sometimes it's even worth doing it kind of like before every session, because I think yesterday they released 4 new versions during the day. They're constantly basically pushing it to, it's continuously deployed to NPM. So it might be that you need to run Claude update. CG user, will they ever release Sonnet 5? Yes, they will. They seem to do sort of 2 major versions a year, I think, roughly. Or was it 1? Honestly, it's time no longer has any meaning with the rate of this stuff. CG user, very specific tools for live on stage. It is very specific tools. We have very specific requirements. As a band, we turn up and we have our own little portable mixer. So there are many things that you need to understand about Linebreakers. We are made up of Dylan and I and Eli live in the UK. Hannes lives in Belgium. Vagiv lives in Oslo. Heather lives in the States. We have other members who are occasional who pitch up, and we play at conferences, tech conferences. So we have things that we can take with us. So we turn up with a little mixing desk, and then everybody brings their own in-ear monitors and their own instrument and all this sort of stuff. And then we pitch up to the venue and we hook everything up. We plug everything in. And there is generally like one sound engineer we go, here are 2 wires, please plug those into the front of house thing. And then we run the show ourselves. So we don't have a sound engineer kind of like going, oh, I'm going to adjust the levels or any of this sort of stuff. And we don't have a drummer because nobody wants to be taking a drum kit
I'm going to just
to a
clarify.
tech conference.
We have a dozen drummers.
Oh yeah, we have a
None of
dozen
whom
drummers.
wants to bring a drum set.
Yes.
Because,
and so we have backing tracks that we use, and at any given gig, there will be a different configuration of line breakers. And so one of Dylan's sort of most irksome jobs is remixing the backing track. And then like 2 hours before the gig, I go, I don't think I can play that bass line, mix the bass line in, or Dylan going, oh, hang on, you're singing that one, aren't you? We'll have to mix your instrument back in and stuff. And it's a faff. And so, yes, this is also, we have video that is displayed to a projector, but we have for ages been going, oh, wouldn't it be really good if we had the lyrics and like a band view, which had the lyrics and the chords in a guitar-yoke style way. And so, yeah, all of this put together creates a very, very specific set of requirements that nobody else has. There is no software that exists that will do this. And I suspect if there was, it's the kind, I think there are a couple of like hardware devices that do something like this, but they cost thousands and thousands of pounds. That is yesterday, yes.
Right, so what did it just do? Let's, so if we do a .NET build.
It's in, yeah.
It's in there, isn't it?
Yes, and if you do .NET publish, it'll create the .exe. So yeah.
Okay, so it's in Video Jam bin release NetTech. Can I do .NET publish? Does -O on this work?
Yes, and that will overwrite yesterday's.
Yeah, that's what we want. Huh, interesting. .NET publish. You can't. The minus output isn't supported when building a solution.
Oh right, so you need to give it Video Jam as the. -P.
No, hang on. .NET publish. It's not minus project. You just.
Oh, it is just the argument
project.
Okay.
Did that work? Yeah, it did. So videojam.exe. No, hang on. Did it? There we go. These are all fresh now.
Yeah.
Fresh files.
Today.
Get your fresh files. All right. Okay. So if I load stems and now load a video file, bar and beat count.
One, name broken.
2, 3.
And is it showing up on your display? Anywhere?
Yes. I'm just going to do a thing. Is that going to work? Yes.
There we go.
One, 2, 3.
Wow.
4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Oh, God.
So there's a tiny bit of...
I need to... is there a shepherd school in Sheffield?
A shepherd school.
I need to retrain. Grief.
Yeah.
So, yes. Anyway.
All right.
What else have we got? And then Voot Lane joined Idle and M's, found the music not too long ago, loving it. Thank you very much. Somebody thought I was John Lennon, which, wrong gender, but I can sort of see it with the hair. I'm a work in progress. Do we think these streams will serve as a good learning tool for the agentic coding? That's kind of part of why we're doing it. I mean, it was Dylan wanted me to show him how this stuff worked. Yeah. And then we have this, we've long had this delusional belief that me and Dylan having a conversation is something that other people would enjoy, which was born out of 2 years of doing a bloody podcast together. And people reliably turned up every week to listen to us talk absolute bobbins. So we thought, why not stream it? So yes, I'm going to say yes. If you watch all of this, it's not the most efficient way to learn because there is a lot of bobbins.
Yes.
And it will serve as a good learning tool for about the next 2 weeks.
I have not spent any time at all working with or learning about these tools other than what we have done on the stream, which is all in the recordings, which are on YouTube now. So if you watch, and there's going to be, at this point, this is the 4th session we've done, so we're up to like probably 10, 12 hours. But you watch them on 2 times normal speed, because I know you will do that anyway.
Yes.
You will literally see every single thing I have ever done with Claude happening live on that stream. And hopefully there will be something of value.
Hopefully, but tomorrow I will be all excited because my new website selling my new workshop will be up. So I'm going to do it's essentially a 2-day workshop, but it will also possibly be 4 afternoons rather than 2 sort of full days. A, it's easier for people to fit into their day, and B, it means you can do cross time zone, so Americans can do it in the morning and Brits can do it in the evening and that sort of thing.
Sworn I will never do 7 hours on Zoom in 1 day.
It's a lot as a teacher, but it's also a lot as a learner, as a student. But yes, so that will be that website will be up tomorrow. That will be much more focused, and you'll be actually able to, there'll be exercises, and you'll end up with a project and some prompts that you can keep for yourself and all that sort of thing. It'll be much more focused and whatever. It will also, if I get enough interest for it, there'll be the option to tune specific instances of the workshop for specific platforms. So we might do front end for one, we might do back end APIs in .NET, might do back end APIs in Go on a different one. Also, it's, if I get to the point where I'm doing these things weekly, they're never going to be the same, because a big part of the effort I'm going to be putting into that is keeping up to date. Because I swear to God, you kind of go, oh, this is best practice, and then a week later there's people leaving comments on your YouTube video going, that's so January. Because, and you're kind of like, well, that's when we recorded it. So yes, and then the rest of it is just round glasses, and I watch all of these starting from scratch as Dylan did. That is, that is a valid way to get yourself up to speed with these things.
Most bands do exactly that. Backing tracks plus video and light show sync with Ableton Live. Ableton Live is one of the tools I know professional touring bands do for this kind of thing. Last time I looked at it, and this is going back a couple of years, one, it did not have that facility to send multiple video streams to multiple devices simultaneously. 2, it was very cumbersome to try to use it while you are actually being one of the musicians on the stage at the same time, especially if you are playing the guitar. If you're behind a keyboard stand or something, it's a lot easier to play with your laptop during the show. And also Ableton Live costs lots of money. And
it is not cheap, and we don't charge for our things. A Starship says, I use open code with a local LLM. You really want a 32 gigabyte GPU for the context window and as fast RAM as you can get, which was in response to a question from CG user. So yes, you can. Open code is a sort of open source and non-back-end tied, although they've got their own kind of LLM proxy layer thing.
If anyone wants any RAM, I've got 64 gigs of DDR5 that doesn't work, because if you buy an AMD motherboard with 4 RAM slots in it, you can only use 2 of them, otherwise it falls over.
Yes.
So I've got, and when I bought this, it did not cost more than the GDP of a small Central American country. But RAM prices.
That's what you're asking for.
So I will swap it for a 10-year-old Ford Focus that's ULEZ compliant and has a working audio system. If anyone wants to swap 64 gigs of RAM for a car, you look me up. So
yes, it is. You can use open code with a local LLM. However, I have a MacBook Pro M3 Max with 36 gigs of RAM, and it didn't really matter which model I used. There wasn't enough RAM for the context window. It was not great. I would say you need at least 64 gigs of RAM, and you need a lot of GPU cores. So I expect. I mean, an M3 Ultra Mac Studio will definitely do it with 512 gigabytes of unified memory. Apple are going through the process of launching the M5 stuff. When they get to the M5 Max MacBook Pro with 128 gigs of RAM, possibly. What's the thing between? Is it 192?
Yeah.
Yeah, 192, because they might not. They probably won't go to 256. But the rumor mill is suggesting that the Mac Studio M5 Ultra will support up to 1 terabyte of unified memory, which is.
Do you want to see something genuinely hilarious?
You'll be able to run DeepSeek. What's this?
This is Visual Studio 2026, and I just loaded my default color scheme, and I have white with a white background on all the menus.
Nice.
That's all right. I don't need those stinking menus.
But no, I do think though that when they launch that, you'll be able to buy 5 M5 Ultras with 1 terabyte of RAM each, network them together using the high-speed interlink thing that they've got, and then you could probably just load up the latest like Kimi or Minimax model and say fix After Effects.
Yeah.
And then just go on holiday, come back, and it would have created something that just knocks Adobe out of the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By
the way, so there's chatter going on in a separate window that none of you can see about things like Squad and Agents and Ralph and so on. We should do a stream where we talk about those things. It's very difficult for us to demonstrate that, because that really does require, you know, if you're running a squad of agents and they're all doing things at the same time, you're going to burn your $20 worth of tokens up in 5 minutes. So yeah, we will. The workshop that I'm working on has a whole section on doing that.
Because presumably if the workshop has paying attendees, that pays for the tokens.
It does.
Whereas YouTube doesn't. Actually, YouTube, I make enough money from YouTube that it pays for me to have all the streaming services. I just about make enough from YouTube videos that it pays for Disney Plus and Netflix and Amazon Prime and Spotify and Tidal.
Spotify and Tidal.
Yeah. Tidal's much better in terms of paying artists for their music, but Spotify has audiobooks now, which I'm kind of a sucker for.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And Tidal's not owned by somebody problematic?
As far as I'm aware, it's not, but it is owned by people who aren't very good at building networked audio software.
Yes.
Once a day, it just goes, and I'm like, no, play the song, and it goes, can't, and I'm like, come on, and close it and open it. It's like, oh, yeah, I play songs. I'm like, thank you. You could have done that. Saved us both a bit of time. I like Tidal, but it does about once a day. It has a little networky glitch when I'm using it. But apparently this is unusual to me. Other people online have not had any problems with it. So this is the thing. This is all the code that got written by the thing. And so we've got, this is it's a WPF app. It's got XAML, so that's our window with the buttons that we just looked at. That's the VLC display window, which does actually look like that because it has no window, Chrome, no border, no nothing.
Yeah, we literally just need a window handle.
It's just a full screen window handle. Let's take so the. I mean, there's a couple of things in this that I really, really like. So the extent to which everything is
documented,
commented. There's always been one of the interesting kind of potential spin-offs of this. I've always been like, that's quite a lot of like that summary on a property there is just telling us things that if you know what you're looking at, you can get from reading the line of code. And in my experience, what will quite often happen if you have a comment that says that immediately above a line that says that is that somebody will go, oh, no, we don't want that. We want 48,000. So they'll change that and they won't change the comment. And now the comment is useless because the comment is false. And so what you'll actually kind of end up doing is, you know, if I was being really militant about this, I'd be like, we'll take the summary out and let's have a const int sample rate in kilohertz equals 44,100 and const int audio channels equals 2, and then use those in here so that looking at the code, you're like, I see what that means. I see what that means. But again, this is the big question that is sort of hanging over all of this is to what extent is code still going to be written for the benefit of the humans who are maintaining it? And if it is, should we be including that sort of stuff in our prompts and telling them to fix it? And yeah, I don't know. It's because it's got it right here. It's got the Wasapi latency milliseconds. That's been put in as a constant. It still can't name fields properly, but that's because I haven't got Claude using the same conventions as Visual Studio. So, and yes, this is the point where you're like, okay, this is all the code. Are we going to read the code? Are we going to review the code? Are we going to look at everything the code does? Are we going to step through the code? Or are we going to YOLO it? And given that this thing is going to run on one laptop, the only person I'm ever going to ship it to is me. And if it crashes, it'll crash in front of me, in front of all the people who are watching. And I'm going to look like an idiot for trying to run a show on my own homebrewed software. I sort of am veering towards testing the thing very, very heavily rather than reviewing all the code. But we have a tool for that. All right.
Yes, we do.
So I want to make a couple of tweaks here to so the implementation is done. Claude's developer hat has gone in and has made that work. But what I want to do now is, and jump in if this is a stupid idea or something I shouldn't be doing. Let's open up VS Code there. Is I want to find the QA engineer, and I want to put a note in here that I don't like magic numbers. I don't like passing those. So that exact line of code that we just looked at there. Where did it go?
Oh, where it had the 44 underscore 100, and then it was in engine, wasn't it?
It is in audioengine.cs, I think.
Yes, there you go.
So I want to give it a thing that says, look, don't pass numeric literals to constructors and things. Put them in a constant, which explains the purpose.
Yes.
And then I want to see if it picks those up as errors. So
there is a section within here.
Yep.
If you scroll sort of standards, I would put it under standards.
Yep.
Or code review standards.
Code review standard.
Oh yeah, naming and clarity.
Yeah.
I would add it as a kind of note there.
Is the code passing numeric literals?
Numberic.
Should these be extracted into constants with meaningful names? Right.
Yep.
So that's new. So we've taught our QA engineer something that we care about.
Yep.
So if I now run Claude in here with a there we go. Claude prompts QA engineer. Okay. Oh yeah, it's brought up the Serena MCP dashboard. Which confusingly, every time you run Claude now, it's going to load the Serena dashboard, but it loads it in the same browser window as StreamYard was running in, so the chat disappears.
Yes, it is unhelpful.
Yeah. Right. Review this lot.
So remember, this is now going to respond in the style of an obsequious butler.
Yes. Get change
yes,
status.
And don't ask
yes,
again.
And don't ask again. And we have a 4 p.m. hard stop, so we got about another 20-25 minutes.
Yes.
And
because I have to go, I have I have a round table, the nature of which I cannot divulge lest I win an award.
Oh, well, that sounds very exciting.
No, I don't want the award.
Oh. Oh.
Shush. And you, Eli.
Holderness, you are the designated witness. On account of proximity.
The only magic numbers I happily leave in source code is 42 or 69. I'm with you on the 42.
Yeah.
I occasionally put in 54, which is what you actually get if you multiply 6 by 9.
Assuming you're in decimal arithmetic.
Yes. Oh God, don't try and work out the number base where 6 times 9 is 42. I can't remember what it is. There is one.
We got. I think it's base 13.
Is it? Yeah, that sounds right.
Claude.ai. And what numeric base is 6 times 9 equal to 42?
Yeah. 13. There you go. God, it did that quickly.
Getting better at numbers, isn't it?
Yes.
How
the
many
number of
R's are there in strawberry?
Six. Yeah.
Clever.
There's a dedicated subroutine for counting. I
like R's in strawberry.
I like to think it is dedicated to R's as well.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
How many times does the letter Z appear?
Yes, sir. You may delete Eli's 6-7 message and put them in a timeout. Base 13, so 54, if you write it in base 13, is 42, Surly.
Yeah. One of the many ways in which YAML is a terrible, terrible idea is that YAML parses any unquoted, like it has numbers in it, but if the number starts with a 0, it parses it in octal, not decimal, which you don't realize.
Sorry. Yes. Sorry, carry on.
So yeah, you type numbers. So the reason I hit this one is I was using like 2-digit numbers to order chapters in a course handbook that I was writing in Jekyll, which uses YAML front matter. So I had chapter 01, 02, 03, 04, 05, 06, 07 are all fine. They all parse in octal as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 08, it goes, well, that can't be octal, so it switches to decimal. 09, 10, so on. But then I was like, I might need 3-digit numbers. So I switched to 001, 002, which means that 010 now appears before 009, because 010 in octal is 8.
Whereas 009 in decimal is 9.
Is 9, yes.
That's, I love. Is YAML any good? Norway.
Right. So the code is on the whole well structured. All right, let's have a look. So resource leak on natural and replay path. Yep. Oh.
Never disposes its shared libVLC native instance. Ah, there we go, you see.
Which is probably, given that it's got a shared instance, depends how shared it is.
Yes.
If it's going to spin up a new shared instance every time we load a fresh file, that will eventually become a problem.
Yeah.
Hang on. No, when the user presses it again, it silently overwrites both fields with fresh instances.
The libVLC and audio engine are abandoned without disposal. Yes, that is bad.
Yep. So that means that it's overwriting them with fresh ones, but the old ones, and because libVLC is a wrapper around unmanaged code, because VLC is written in, I think it's written in C++, that's not good. And pre-buffer timeout falls through to show video. Interesting. The design doc says allow a degraded start, which is in tension with the spec. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So yes, I mean,
yes.
Yeah.
So what we do now is we say, splendid, please put all of that into a fixes.md file so we can give it to Brian, the pirate engineer.
And it should now ask questions and clarify where it said you could either do this or you could do this. It will either make its own decision as to what should be done. But where there were things where it wasn't sure, it should come back and ask us questions. Did it pick up the magic numbers thing though?
I don't know, actually. I got bored of reading the feedback before we got there, which I think is going to be an existential crisis for the field of software engineering.
Oh, hang on, that's what is genuinely it's doing shit sandwich.
Yep.
That's brilliant. I love that. Okay. Yeah. But no, it does not appear to have picked up those magic numbers things.
Yeah. Possibly, is it possible that it is only reviewing things which have changed as a result of the scope of this change? And because that is a defect from phase 1 that we put in yesterday.
Oh, yeah, that's possible.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Do you want to create it? Yes, and allow edits. That's cool. Okay, I'm going to do one more thing. Could you also please check all existing code for magic numbers? We just added this to the prompt because some of yesterday's work contains numeric literals.
Thank you, A Star Starship. Yes, absolutely don't forget to hit the like button.
Like and subscribe.
Yes. Although.
So while that's cranking, there's a bit of chat going on about talking to people who you think you know who they are, but you're not exactly sure who they are. But there's this little sort of glimmer of recognition. And I worked for a long time in a company that had a lot of actors, like famous actors, like actors you know from film and television. In my second week in that job, somebody said, "Oi, C-3PO's in reception." And I poked my head around, and sure enough, Anthony Daniels was there in person renewing his membership for another year, which was just quite cool. And I wonder what their filing cabinet would have been worth, because it would have had autographs of literally everybody every year. But no, it's business paperwork, and it would be shredded after 7 years. But quite often you would bump into somebody like on the stairs on the way into work, who you'd sort of half recognize, and you say, "Hey, how's it going?" and whatever, and they were leaving, and then later you'd be like, no, that wasn't my friend. That was a person from TV. That was a famous man. I think I accidentally greeted Ben Miles, who was Patrick on Coupling, and then in Hijack, he played the airline pilot. I think I greeted him about half a dozen times, because apparently first thing in the morning, before I've had a cup of coffee, he looks like my friend. So he was always very nice about it, and we never sort of stopped to chat. But yeah.
Yes. I can't even remember. This is how little I care about the soccer. But I was talking to somebody in a beer garden once, and then I'd stopped to chat about a dog or something. And then I carried on to the table where my work friends were waiting for me, and they were all very excited because I'd been talking to like an extremely famous Fulham footballer or something. And I had no idea. I was just kind of like, really? I know, does he play Fulham? Which club is that then? Yes, it's like, so is that croquet or bowls?
Look at this. So Dorothy, at that job, what did you do? So they were, when I first started building web apps after university, so this is back in 2000, they approached my company that I worked for to turn their CD-ROM into an interactive website, because they had a sort of web version of it, but it wasn't very good. So migrated all their data from FileMaker, DB something, into SQL Server and classic ASP and all that. And so yeah, I was webmaster, and then I was the dev lead, and then I was the systems architect, and yeah, and I was there for about 15 years. And
yeah,
it was quite, it was, most of the time, it was quite interesting, because it was a really interesting domain with a lot of very, very entertaining people.
Yes.
Cool. All right. I love the way
Okay.
it says the remaining items are straightforward extractions, 5 minutes work each. It's like 5 minutes. No.
Yes.
Right. Okay, cool. So that has created
Yeah.
fixes.md.
So now you can exit and switch back to Brian.
Yeah. Yep. So now we go back over to Brian. This is Brian, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Brian.
Reload
and
all
say,
the things. That wasn't quite what I meant.
Oh, he's doing a .NET clean. Yeah. You shouldn't need to reload all the things because you haven't actually sort of exited out.
No, we have fixes.md as new.
Yeah, but you can just say read
Okay.
at fixes.md. So if you can just press escape twice now as well to interrupt what it's doing. There you
Okay.
go. And then you can say, yeah, read at fixes.md and implement the fixes.
.md and implement all the fixes. Have you done a sort of, A/B comparison on getting the QA engineer and the developer to communicate via Markdown files as opposed to just getting Claude to fix it?
Yes.
And?
It works better this way.
Okay.
There's a reason why I've told you to do it this way.
Yeah.
Claude, I think it's something to do with like context pollution or whatever. It's very difficult to convince it that something that's in its context window is wrong.
Okay.
And so having something with a separate context window load the code fresh, and also having the part of the reason we're using system prompts is within a single directory, we have system prompt, multiple system prompts. Whereas if we were only using one persona and we didn't have this separation, we could put all of that into Claude.md. But yes, so you can give, the coding standards are in there. The coding standards can be in kind of like Claude.md or docs folder, and you have kind of standards and everything, and you make the thing read that. But yeah, if you have a persona that is instructed to be picky, it's going to behave differently. It's going to change what it does. Yeah, it's there's a sort of a question. Is this is it generating the next most likely word? And interestingly, somebody, yesterday, day before, launched a new sort of LLM, but instead of word by word, it's actually using diffusion. So it generates an entire block of text and then changes it and changes it until it makes sense. It's really quick. It's like so much faster than waiting for an LLM to generate a bunch of tokens.
So LLM has a question. What happens when you run out of tokens halfway through? Which I replied in chat and then remembered that chat goes to 4 different places. You stop.
So yes, you do /exit, and then you leave that tab because it will give you the command that you need to resume. Although actually with Claude Code, if what you want to resume is the previous session, you can just run Claude space -- resume. And after the context window is reset, and it'll tell you, I think mine is 4 p.m. after I ran out because I started at just after 11 o'clock this morning. But it tells you when you can restart, and you exit, and then you do Claude -- resume later on, and you carry on.
Starship has suggested use Jekyll for your Markdown context engineering. I'm a little confused as to what that means because I've used Jekyll a lot, but Jekyll publishes Markdown to HTML. If it's the same Jekyll that I'm thinking of, I'm not quite sure how that would work. I mean, Jekyll.
Starship, if you posted a link to something about that or to a GitHub repo or something, we would not consider it spam.
Yeah. But it may also come through. I don't know what we've got set up.
If you obfuscate it and just put like a GitHub repo organization and repo or path or something, we won't frown upon it unless I go and look at it and decide that I hate it because it uses Jekyll and Jekyll uses Ruby and I have opinions.
Yeah, but you don't need to touch Ruby anymore.
Well,
you can just get an AI to do it for you.
Even then, is that not against the Geneva Convention? Do AIs have rights?
So one of the things on my list of when AI is good enough that you can just like burn a day's worth of tokens is please port Jekyll to .NET and just make it good. Just that's it. Completely like for like, bug compatible.
Yes.
Which I think it would struggle because it pulls in so many Ruby gems, including a lot which are actually built in C. But meh, you know.
So yes, Robert Lender's 8755. This is a very useful tip, actually. At the end of the context window is to write a nextsteps.md and start a new session with instructions. The problem is when you run out of tokens, if it literally says, you haven't got any tokens of left, then you can't, it doesn't have tokens to write nextsteps.md. So it normally gives you a warning and says you're at like 97% or something, and it is a really good idea if you hit that to say, sort of, I use devlog, and I have a command in my repo that says write devlog. So you do /write devlog, and in the command instructions it says write what you did in this session and what we're doing next. And it's got things in there to mention the the open spec phase and all that sort of thing. If you run out of tokens, you do a pay-as-you-go extra usage, and you can set a max on. So yes, that is, if you do actually run out of tokens and you're kind of like, oh, I just need, like, I can probably get away with 2,000 more, then you can add in the pay-as-you-go, which will bill your credit card for. I just don't know sort of what the smallest unit of tokens that they have is. How's it looking?
Pretty good. It's so the one thing that it is not doing is picking up the editor config and style guide coding convention preferences, which I guess is a whole nother thing. Because my Visual Studio has been set up over many years with a combination of built-in rules, editor config files, and resharper to write code the way I want code written. And I'm not quite sure how we tell Claude that that's what we want.
Hang on, I'm just going to go and check something. Skills P. Search. So where the hell is search? Oh, no. Okay, editor config.
And I have got completely white on white menus. Studio reset color theme.
So yeah, I mean, one thing you could do is add an instruction in developer.md and tell it that it should run .NET format at the end of every
so it's picking up .NET format. The thing here is like using var instead of explicit types.
Okay. Which one are you in favor of?
I like var.
Okay, good.
I think the fewer things you have to read, the better.
We can still be friends.
Yeah. Let's come back to that.
Right. So
So
we are up against it. I have to drop.
Yes. Yeah. So tomorrow we'll figure out how do you get it to obey your preferences when it comes to formatting bits of code and using var instead of this and that, and not putting underscores on private members, because I'm not a fan of that either. But yeah, it looks like today it's implemented phase 2, and that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
And a bit of cursory testing says that it works. All right.
Excellent.
Thanks for tuning in, folks. Same time tomorrow, I think.
Yes. Although I will be in Eli's kitchen having eaten burritos because it's Friday.
Burrito Friday.
Burrito Friday. So yes.
Rightio. I'm off to learn how to play Perfect Strangers by Deep Purple.
Awesome.
Yes.
See you tomorrow. Bye.